r/AskReddit by r/Zeus. What is the most disrespectful thing that someone has done in your home? My wife's cousin was staying at our house because he is going through marital problems. One night I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard some change rattling. He walks down the hall with my 5-year-old's piggy bank. He was taking money from my daughter's ducking piggy bank to buy beer and smokes. Edit, rearranged a word. And that's when you understood where the marital problems came from. This reminds me of when I was probably 6 and our housemate got her kid to steal the check I got for my birthday from my grandparents. It was probably like $40, but a lot of money to me as a child, and we didn't have a lot of money, so a lot of money to my mom too. My mom asked the lady about it and she completely denied it. Being 6, I went into their room and found it in her purse. My $40 thank you very much. Wow. I'm so happy you got your money back. Back in college, my roommates and I hosted a birthday party for a mutual friend at our apartment. Earlier that day we gifted her a pet goldfish because she had been talking about getting a fish. Fast forward to later in the night. Our male friend, let's call him Mike, decided he needed to find a way to impress our other friend, who I'll call Dollar. Mike tries every lame joke and pick up line on Dollar and fails time and time again. Then he sees the goldfish in his tank and scoops him up in his hand. He says, "Check this out, Dollar." He then plops the fish into his mouth and swallows it alive. My roommate and I immediately rush over and start trying to make Mike puke the fish back up. Dollar quickly makes for the door and leaves the party. Sadly, that fish met its doom in Mike's stomach that night. He never apologized, although he did complain about severe stomach issues for several days afterwards. TLDR, bought a fish for a friend and another friend swallowed it alive at a party to impress/flirt with someone. Yeah, because us girls love watching when a guy swallows golden fins flapping. Oh dear god. Had a drunk partygoer attempt to do pull-ups from the planks of my old ranch style ceiling just beneath a heater vent and ended up pulling down a large portion of my ceiling. Refused to pay for it. When I was in Cub Scouts, in 3rd grade nonetheless, my mom hosted a meeting for the scouts in my grade at school, where we built birdhouses for some badge or something. While we were waiting for everyone to arrive, me and the scouts who had already arrived started playing in my backyard. One scout, let's call him N, told us he had to go to the bathroom really bad and left. When everyone arrives to start the project, I noticed that N was sitting at the edge of the table looking down, and my mom was really angry and was trying her best to suppress it. She asked me and all the other scouts if I had given N permission to go in my room. Me and all my friends said no. He said he had to go to the bathroom really bad. This response only made my mom even more visibly angry, and N ducked his head more. 5 minutes later, N's mom arrives and is apologizing profusely to my mom. Turns out N went into my room, pocketed the $20 I had been saving up. I got paid $2 a week for mowing the lawn as an allowance, and was stuffing my toys and video games into his backpack. My mom went upstairs to actually use the bathroom and noticed the theft taking place and caught him red-handed. He then lied to my mom and said I gave him permission to go into my room and he was just checking it out. But no, my mom caught him red-handed, and my mom is scary when she's mad. In total he stole around $150 in Game Boy cartridges, Pokemon cards and toys, and around 3 months of allowance. Edit, I named him N both because it was his initial, and because N is a reference to the Pokemon character literally named N, because he stole my Pokemon cards and games. Not for any other reason. At least he didn't poo in the kitchen, which is where I thought that was going. I definitely thought poop was involved. When I was in like 2nd grade, I invited this girl over, and we made popcorn as a snack, and not even 5 minutes later, this twat decided it's a good idea to run all over my house throwing it everywhere. This goes on another 5 minutes, while I chase her down. But the damage is done. The popcorn is in between couch cushions, under the fridge, under my bed, in my laundry basket, all over the damn floor. My mom ends up sitting us down and proceeds to lay it out on her, telling her that what she did was disrespectful and to help clean up. She pouted and said no, saying since it wasn't her house she didn't have to clean poo. She continued to pout as my mom called her mom and pretty much told her to leave and to not expect to be invited back anytime soon. I haven't spoken to her in a while, but apparently she got banned from the mall for trashing a Lush store with her friend, throwing food, dumping out products, and smashing bath bombs, so I guess she hasn't changed much. As bad as the popcorn was, just be thankful it wasn't glitter. Friend brought a guest to a party I was having. Friend knew I didn't really like her guest and I asked her not to bring her. She did anyway. Vertical bar. Unwelcome guest proceeds to drink too much wine and smoke too much weed, then pass out on the couch really early. For some reason, my friend leaves without taking the unwelcome guest with her. Wake up the next morning, unwelcome guest has opened up one of the leftover bottles of wine from the night before, and she's also carved a pipe out of a potato or carrot or something, and was smoking weed on our couch. Bitch please. If someone lets you pass out at their party and doesn't kick your ass out by stuffing you in a taxi, at least go outside the damn house to smoke. I rented a room to someone I knew since I was 12. He was using and selling H from my house. I found out and told him to GTFO. He was too lazy to use the bathroom and pissed in bottles I didn't know. Threw the piss all over the room before he left. Carved swastikas in my kid's bunk bed I was letting him use. My grandmother took in a family off the street who lived in their car. She lived alone and no one was happy about it, but grandma does what grandma wants. She goes upstairs to clean their bathroom, finds their meth lab. Calls my uncle to ask if she should call the police because she doesn't want to put the family into more trouble. Yeah, she called. Nice way by your grandma to cover her meth lab. Buddy from college was traveling through town and stayed with my wife and I for the weekend. Nothing crazy, hung out and remembered our college years. A few days after he left, my guest bathroom reeked. Took a bit to figure out but finally discovered an upper decker left for us. Disgusting. As in he pooed in the tank? Why? After a presumably pleasant visit? Like what is the thought process here? Revenge? A pooey, pun intended, prank? He must have known that you would figure out he did it. Have you talked to him since? Correct. He thought he was being funny. Our group in college would pull pranks on each other all the time. Not this bad. The problem is everyone else matured. He did not. Our paths haven't crossed since he stayed with us. Only a few comments in group chats. He hasn't apologized, told me to chill. It was just a joke. Honestly, I'm done. She invited a bunch of sleazy guys over, despite me asking her not to. She let them in while I was in the shower, so I did not realize they were in my house. She then took one into my housemate's bedroom and locked the door. Super disrespectful to my housemate who had so kindly offered that she could stay in her room as she was going to be at her boyfriend's for the weekend. When I got out of the shower, one of the guys was in my bed, and I was like, dude, get the frick out of my bedroom. And he refused and said my friend said he could stay there. I was very not okay with that. I physically had to push him out of my house. The next day, when she sobered up, I kicked her out of my house and did not speak to her for 3 years. It was after an awful spinal surgery I went through when I was 12. They were cousins and my parents caught them trying to steal my painkillers. I had a half sister do that. She was staying with us for a bit. I had jaw surgery and she attempted to, maybe did, I'm not sure anymore, steal some pills. The worst part is she left some on the ground where my dog could have gotten them. Thankfully that didn't happen though. Not my home, but I was renting a house and the landlady kept turning up unannounced and would let herself in and would give the key to people doing work on the house without telling us, so we'd, without warning, have strangers let themselves into the house. It was a very stressful way to live. Very stressful, and if you live in the States, also very illegal. I had a landlord like this. He was obsessed with his garden that was on the property and would just show up out of the blue and start gardening. I had a newborn at the time and he gave me super creep vibes, so if he would knock on the door, I'd just hang out in my room until he went away. My husband worked during the day, so I would always be home alone when he would randomly show up. This one particular day, thinking I was not home, he just started hanging around the yard. He mowed the lawn, picked a few apples, and then took off his shirt and went for a swing on our tree swing. He hung out in our yard for 3 hours while we weren't home. Dude used to freak me the duck out. I had a landlord at a rental house in Effingham, Illinois who would never leave us alone. He was constantly showing up to hang out in his garage/man cave, to play with his model airplanes, sit back there all day using the electric and the gas heater which were on our bills, and also show up at 7 AM every other morning to mow the grass/putter around under our bedroom windows. It was just my ma and me. We were city people. We only moved there temporarily to get back into Illinois in general and like our privacy, hence why we rented a house. Just wanted to mind our own business, and when we brought up the issue with him, he became even more intrusive, making us out to seem crazy for wanting privacy. It made us nauseous every time we looked out the back window and saw the tail end of his car sticking out behind the garage. 3 times a day got to where sometimes he'd be standing in the yard with the equally hicky, judgy, small town, next door neighbors facing the house and talking/laughing about us with their arms crossed. It was like being prisoners in our own home. Also had a landlord like this. It was at an apartment complex with those doors with two locks. One can be opened with a key, the other can only open from the inside. She told us we weren't allowed to use the other lock. We started using it eventually, in case of an emergency. She would just let herself in at 6 AM multiple times a week, without any notice, to check the blind/garbage disposal/toilet/anything she could think of. We started using the second lock, and she'd bang on the door for 30 minutes yelling our names and saying let me in. Inspection. It felt more like bed check at summer camp than a home. All of the other tenants I knew had the same problem, but nobody complained because she was a mean old lady and had no problem evicting people just because. I was just tired of getting woken up early to an old lady coming in my closed bedroom to make sure my blinds still worked. When we told her it wasn't okay to come into our house without a 24-hour notice, which is legally required, she asked what we were hiding. Needless to say, we did not renew that lease. Thank you very much for watching until the end. For your daily dose of dopamine, please subscribe. I post daily Reddit videos. Either way, I wish you a great day.